Morning medicine lang morning medicine. Dopa. Sorry. Umdor. Hah? Bangun. Dedi.
एक-एक करके पहले हम लोग दो फिर दो करके Yes, tomorrow I'm singing.
Here now.
Oh, right now. Okay. Yes. Very much. Yes. Sansaragava naladidhaloka Tranaya karunya dhanada Natvam sansaragava naladidhaloka Tranaya karunya dhanadhanatvam Praptasya kalyana Gunanarvasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Praptasya kalyana Gunanarvasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyan Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu Kirtan Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyan Manasura Sena Romanchakampa Shrutarangha Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Romanchakampa Shrutarangha Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Shri Vigraha Dhanna Nityananda Shringaratan Mandiranja Nado Shri Vigraha Nityananda Shringaratan Mandiranja Yuktasya Bhaktam Shaneyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Yuktasya Bhaktam Shaneyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasad Swadhanna Triptam Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasad Swadhanna Triptam Hari Bhakta Sangha Vitvaiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Vitvaiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Shri Radhika Madhava Yorapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shri Radhika Madhava Yorapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna
Pratikshanaat svadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Pratikshanaat svadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Nikunjayuno Nattikelisikai Yaya Libhir Yuktirapekshanīya
Nikunjayuno Nattikelisikai Yaya Libhir Yuktirapekshanīya
Tatratidaksha Nativalavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Tatra Vidasya Dativallavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Sakshadhari Tvaina Samasta Shastra Uktastatthava Vyakta Iva Sadhi
Sakshadhari Tena Samasta Shastre Uttastadhava Vyateva Sadhi
Kintu Prabhurya Priya Evam Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Hindu Bhargorya Vyayeva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi
Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi
Yayam Subham Stasya Yashastri Sanya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Nayastu Mam Tasya Shastri Shanna Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatyadishatarine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatyadishatarine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Narasimharthi.
Namaste Narasimhaya
Namaste Narasimhaya
Prahlada Lada Dayine
Prahlada Ladadayine
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha
Shrilatam Khanakalaye
Shrilatam Khanakalaye
Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsingo
Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsinga
Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsingo
Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsingo
Vahir Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsingo
Vahir Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsingo
Nrsinghamadim Sharanam Prapade
Nrsinghamadim Sharanam Prapade
Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Bhutashrinam Zalita Hiranyakashipu Anubrinam Ishavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shrinam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubrinam Ishavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsingadev 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 Jaya Nrsingadev
Jaya Nrsingadev 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 Jaya Nrsingadev
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Tulsi Arti.
Vilasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha
Radha Krishna Seva Pavam Eya Vilasi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Vilasi
Tomara Sharanaloy Tarvangsha Purna Ho
Tumara Sharanaloy Taravancha Punaho
Kripa Kore Koro Tare Vrindavana Vasi
Kripa Kori Koro Tare Vrindavanavasi
Moraye Abhilas Vilas Kunjadiyova
Moraiya Vilas Vilas Kunjariyovas
Nayane Heri Vosada Jugala Ruparase
Nayane Vosada Yugalaruparasi
Eni Vedanadharo Sakhiranagato Koro
Deni Vedanadharo Sakhiranagato Koro
সেবায়ের অধিকার দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী দীন কৃষ্ণ দাস কয় এই যে নাম হয় শ্রী রাধা গোবিন্দ প্রেমে সদা জিনবাসী यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादि कानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पादे पादे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादि कानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पादे पादे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Maharani,
Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Shri Vrinde.
We only got 24, 15 minutes. You just take that. You can take that and check like that.
चेतन चेतन
I have the big one volume.
ऊपर है टॉप में ओसीसी के ऊपर है कॉर्नर का
Okay?
नहीं जानना
I was just taking it just like that.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
I'm leaving tonight.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
So, he can read.
Yes. He can read.
Okay, he can.
No, whichever.
Let's take any chapter.
You know where? Guru Maharaj, which chapter? Adi Leela, first chapter? Anything. Glory of Haridas Thakur. The summary of this third chapter of Anta Leela is given by. Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all other preceptors on the path of devotional service, unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa and Srimati Radharani and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Jagannath Puri, there was a young boy who had been born of an arisen Brahmana, but had later lost his father. The boy's features were very beautiful, and his behavior was extremely gentle. The boy came daily to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. He was free to talk with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because the Lord was his life and soul. But the boy's intimacy with the Lord and the Lord's mercy toward him were intolerable to Damodar Pandit. Damodar Pandit again and again forbade the son of Brahmana to visit the Lord, but the boy could not bear staying home and not seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The boy came every day to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who treated him with great affection. It is the nature of any boy to go see a man who loves him. This was intolerable for Damodar Pandit. He became greatly unhappy, but there was nothing he could say, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. One day, when the boy came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord very affectionately inquired from him about all kinds of news. After some time, when the boy stood up and left, the intolerant Damodar Pandit began to speak. Damodar Pandit impudently said to the Lord, "Everyone says that you are a great teacher because of your instruction to others. But now we shall find out what kind of teacher you are." Damodar Pandit was a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes, however, a person in such a position becomes impudent, being influenced by the external energy and material considerations. Thus, a devotee mistakenly dares to criticize the activities of the spiritual master or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Despite the logic that Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, a devotee should not be disturbed by the activities of his spiritual master and should not try to criticize him. A devotee should be fixed in the conclusion that the spiritual master cannot be subject to criticism and should never be considered equal to a common man. Even if there appears to be some discrepancy according to an imperfect devotee's estimation, the devotee should be fixed in the conviction that even if his spiritual master goes to a liquor shop, he is not drunkard. Rather, he must have some purpose in going there. It is said in Bengali, "Yadyapi Nityananda Shurabadiyaya tathapi Gaya Nityanandaraya." Even if I see that Lord Nityananda has entered a liquor shop, I shall not be diverted from my conclusion that Nityananda Raya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are known as Gosai, but now talk about your attributes and reputation will spread throughout the city of Purushottama. How your position will be impaired. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Damodar Pandit was a pure and a simple devotee, upon hearing this impudent talk, the Lord said, "My dear Damodara, what nonsense are you speaking?" Damodar Pandit replied, "You are the independent personality of Godhead, beyond all criticism. My dear Lord, you can act as you please. No one can say anything to restrict you. Nevertheless, the entire world is impudent. People can say anything. How can you stop them? Dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why, then, don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmini? Why are you so affectionate to him?" Although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is very beautiful young girl. And you, my dear Lord, are handsome, attractive young men. Therefore, certainly people will whisper about you. Why should you give them such an opportunity? As simple and staunch devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damodar Pandit could not tolerate criticism of the Lord. But unfortunately, he himself was criticizing Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his own way. The Lord could understand that it was because of Damodar Pandit's simplicity that he impudently dared criticize him. Nevertheless, such behavior by a devotee is not very good. Having said this, Damodar Pandit becomes silent. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, pleased with himself, and considered the impudence of Damodar Pandit. This impudence is also a sign of pure love for me. I have no other intimate friend like Damodar Pandit. Thinking in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to perform his noon duties. Next day, he called Damodar Pandit to a solitary place. The Lord said, "My dear friend Damodar, you had better to go Nadia and stay with my mother. I see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good, for without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. You can do whatever I cannot. Indeed, you can chastise even me, not to speak of others. It is best for you to go to the shelter of my mother's lotus feet, for no one will be able to behave independently in front of you. At intervals, you may come see me here and then soon again go there. Offer my mother millions of my obeisances. Please speak to her about my happiness, hear and thus give her happiness. Tell her that I sent you to inform her of my personal activities so that she may share in my happiness. Speaking in this way, satisfy the mind of Mother Sachi. Also, remind her of one most confidential incident with the message from me. I come to your home again and again to eat all the sweetmeats and vegetables you offer. You know that I come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider this a dream. Because Mother Sachi was feeling separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she thought she was dreaming that her son had come to her. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, wanted to inform her that actually it was not a dream. He actually came there and ate whatever his mother offered him. Such are the dealings of advanced devotees with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Premanjacharita Bhakti Vilochanena, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. Pure devotees realize dealings with the Lord on the transcendental plane, but because devotees are still in the material world, they think that these are dreams. The Lord, however, talks with the advanced devotee, and the advanced devotee also sees him. It is all factual, it is not a dream. During the last Magha Sankranti festival, you cooked varieties of vegetables, condensed milk, cakes, and sweet rice for me. You offered the food to Lord Krishna, and while you were in meditation, I suddenly appeared, and your eyes filled with tears. I went there in a great haste and ate everything. When you saw me eating, you felt great happiness. In a moment, after you had wiped your eyes, you saw that plate you had offered me was empty. Then you thought, I dreamt as if Nimai were eating everything. In the condition of external separation, you were again in an illusion, thinking that you had not offered the food to Lord Vishnu. Then you went to see the cooking pots and found that every pot was filled with food. Therefore you again offered the food after cleansing the place for the offering. Thus, I again and again eat everything you offer, for I am attracted by your pure love. Only by your order I am living in Nilachara. Nevertheless, you still pull me near you because of your great love for me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar Pandit, remind Mother Sachi in this way again and again, and worship her lotus feet in my name. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that varieties of prasad offered to Lord Jagannath be brought. The Lord then gave him the prasad separately packed to offer to various Vaishnavas and his mother. In this way, Damodar Pandit went to Nadia. After meeting Mother Sachi, he stayed under the care of her lotus feet. He delivered all the prasad to such a great Vaishnavas with Advait Acharya. Thus, he stayed there and behaved according to the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everyone knew that Damodar Pandit was strict in practical dealings. Therefore, everyone was afraid of him and dared not to do anything independent. Damodar Pandit would verbally chastise every devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whom he found deviating even slightly from proper behavior. Thus, he established the standard etiquette. In this way, I have described Damodar Pandit's verbal chastisements. As one hears about this, atheistic principles and ignorance depart. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are deeper than millions of seas and oceans. Therefore, no one can understand what he does, nor why he does it. I do not know the deep meaning of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. As far as possible, I shall try to explain them externally. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Haridas Thakur as usual, and in the course of discussion, he inquired as follows. My dear Thakur Haridas, in this age of Kali, most people are bereft of Vedic culture, and therefore they are called Yavanas. They are concerned only with killing cows and Brahminical culture. In this way, they all engage in sinful acts. From this statement by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can clearly understand that the word Yavana does not refer only to a particular class of men. Anyone who is against the behavior of Vedic of the Vedic principle is called Yavana. Such a Yavana may be in India or outside of India. As described here, the symptom of Yavanas is that they are violent killers of cows and Brahmanical culture. We offer our prayers to the Lord by saying Namo Brahmana Devaya, O Brahmana Hitaya. The Lord is the maintainer of Brahmanical culture. His first concern is to see to the benefit of cows and Brahmanas. As soon as human civilization turned against Brahmanical culture and allows unrestricted killings of cows, we should understand that men are no longer under the control of the Vedic culture, but are all Yavanas and Malechas. It is said that the Krishna consciousness movement will be prominent within the next 10,000 years, but after that, people will all become Malechas and Yavanas. Thus, at the end of the Yuga, Krishna will appear as a Kalki avatar and kill them without consideration. How will this Yavanas be delivered? To my great unhappiness, I do not see any way. This verse reveals the significance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen souls. Sri Narottam Das Thakur sings, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. O my Lord, you have appeared just to deliver all the fallen souls. Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Pe Ar. And among all the fallen souls, I am the lowest. How Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls is shown by the statement, E Dukha Apar, it is my great unhappiness. This statement indicates that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna himself, is always very unhappy to see the fallen souls in the material world. Therefore, he himself comes as he is, or he comes as a devotee in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver love of Krishna directly to the fallen souls. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishnaya Prem Padayate. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he not only gives knowledge of Krishna, but by his practical activities teaches everyone how to love Krishna. Krishna Prem Pradayate. Those who are following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should take the Lord's mission more seriously. In this age of Kali, people are gradually becoming less than animals. Nevertheless, although they are eating the flesh of cows and are envious of Brahmanical culture, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considering how to deliver them from this horrible condition of life. Thus he asks all Indians to take up his mission. Bharata Bhumite Haile Manusha Janmayar, Janma Sarthak Kari Karapara Upakar. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. It is therefore the duty of every advanced... Yes.
You want to read? You can read. You do a job on it.
All Indians should help the Krishna conscious movement in its progress to the best of their ability. Then they will be considered real followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unfortunately, even some so-called Vaishnavas enviously refuse to cooperate with this movement, but instead condemn it in so many ways. We are very sorry to say that these people try to find fault with us, being unnecessarily envious of Krishna consciousness, envious of our activities. Although we are trying to the best of our ability to introduce Krishna consciousness movement directly into the countries of the Yavanas and Malechas. Such Yavanas and Malechas are coming to us and becoming purified Vaishnavas who follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who identifies himself as a follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should feel like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, Iha sabara kon nase haive nistar. How will all these Yavanas be delivered? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always anxious to deliver the fallen souls because their fallen condition gave him great unhappiness. That is the platform on which one can propagate the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haridas Thakur replied, My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. Do not be unhappy to see the condition of the Yavanas in material existence. These words of Haridas Thakur are just befitting a devotee who has dedicated his life and soul to the service of the Lord. When the Lord is unhappy because of the condition of the fallen souls, The devotee consoles him, saying, "My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety." This is service. Everyone should adopt the cause of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to try to relieve him from the anxiety he feels. This is actually service to the Lord. One who tries to relieve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's anxiety for the fallen souls is certainly a most dear and confidential devotee of the Lord. To blaspheme such a devotee who is trying his best to spread the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the greatest offense. One who does so is simply awaiting punishment for his envy. Because the Yavanas are accustomed to saying Ha Rama, O Lord Ramachandra, they will very easily be delivered by this Nama pass. A devotee in advanced ecstatic love exclaims, "O my Lord Ramachandra, O my Lord Ramachandra." But the Yavanas also chant Ha Rama. Just see their good fortune. If a child touches fire, the fire will burn him. And if an elderly man touches fire, it will burn him also. Haridas Thakur says that a great devotee of the Lord exclaims Ha Rama. But although Yavanas do not know the transcendental meaning of Ha Rama, they say those words in the course of their ordinary life. For the Yavanas, the words Ha Rama means abominable, whereas the devotee exclaims the words Ha Rama in ecstatic love. Nevertheless, because the words Ha Rama are the spiritual summum bonum, the fact is the same, whether they are uttered by Yavanas or by great devotees. Just as fire is the same, both for a child and for an elderly man. In other words, the holy name of the Lord, Ha Rama, always acts, even when the holy names are chanted without reference to the Supreme Lord. Yavanas utter the holy name in a different attitude than devotees, but the holy name Ha Rama is so powerfully situated, so powerful spiritually, that it acts anywhere, whether one knows it or not. This is explained as follows. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the authority on the chanting of the holy name, said, the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of namapas. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. Even a malecha who is being killed by the tusk of a boar and who cries in distress again and again, Ha Rama, attains liberation. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? This refers to an instance in which a meat-eater being killed by a boar uttered the words Ha Rama again and again at the time of his death. Since this is a quotation from the Nrsimha Purana, it indicates that in the Puranic age there must also have been malechas and yavanas, meat-eaters, and the words Ha Rama, meaning condemned, were also uttered in those days. Thus Haridas Thakur gives evidence that even a meat-eater who condemns something by uttering the words Ha Rama gets the benefit of chanting the holy name that the devotee chants to me, O my Lord Rama. Ajamil was a great sinner during his life, but at the time of death he accidentally called for his youngest son, whose name was Narayan, and the attendants of Lord Vishnu came to relieve him from the bonds of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. The word Rama consists of the two syllables Ra and Ma. These are unseparated. They are decorated with the loving word Ha, meaning O. The letters of the holy name have so much spiritual potency that they act even when uttered improperly. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that the word Vyavahita, improperly uttered, is not used here to refer to the mundane vibration of the letters of the alphabet. Such negligent utterance for the sense gratification of materialistic persons is not a vibration of transcendental sound. Utterance of the holy name, while one engages in sense gratification, is an impediment on the path for achieving ecstatic love for Krishna. On the other hand, if one who is eager for devotional service utters the holy name even partially or improperly, the holy name, who is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead exhibits its spiritual potency because of that person's offenseless utterance. Thus, one is relieved from all unwanted practices, and one gradually awakens his dormant love for Krishna. If a devotee once utters the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ear, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly, with correct or incorrect grammar, and properly joined or vibrated in parts. O Brahmana, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism, in other words, if one utters the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired result very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord. This verse from the Padma Puran is included in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.5.27 by Sanatana Goswami. Therein, Srila Sanatana Goswami gives the following explanation. Vachi gatam prasangad van madhye pravittam api smarana path gatam prasanchim manasishtam api sutra moolam gatam kinchit sutam api. This means that if one somehow or other hears, utters, or remembers the holy name, or if it catches his mind while coming near his ears, that holy name, even if vibrated in separate words, will act. An example of such separation is given as follows. Suppose one is using the two words halam vittam. Now the syllable ha and the word halam and the syllable vi and vittam are separated, are separately pronounced, but nevertheless it will act because one somehow or other utters the word Hari. Similarly, in the word Raja, Mahishi, the syllables Ra and Ma appear in two separate words, but because they somehow or other appear together, the holy name Rama will act, provided there are no offenses. The holy name has so much spiritual potency that it can deliver one from all sinful reactions and material entanglements. But utterance of the holy name will not be very soon fruitful if done to facilitate sinning. The holy name is so powerful that it must act. But when one utters the holy name with offenses, its action will be delayed, not immediate. Although in favorable circumstances, the holy name of the Lord act very quickly. Namacharya Haridas Thakur continued, if one offensively utters the holy name, even imperfectly, one can be freed from all the results of sinful life. O reservoir of all good qualities, just worship Sri Krishna, the purifier of all purifiers, the most exalted of the personalities worshipped by choice poetry. Worship him with a faithful, unflinching mind, without duplicity, and in a highly elevated manner. Thus worship the Lord, whose name is like the sun. For just as the slight appearance of the sun dissipates the darkness of night, so slight appearance of the holy name of Krishna can drive away all the darkness of ignorance that arises in the heart due to greatly sinful activities performed in previous lives. This verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.103. Even a faint light from the holy name of the Lord can eradicate all the reactions of sinful life. While dying, Ajamal chanted the holy name of the Lord, intending to call this son Narayan. Nevertheless, he attained the spiritual world. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with faith and reverence? piercing the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 6:249. Because of even the faintest rays of the effulgence of the Lord's holy name, one can attain liberation. We can see this in all the revealed scriptures. The evidence appears in the story of Ajamba in Srimad Bhagavatam. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Haridas Thakur, the happiness within his heart increased, but as a matter of course, he still inquired further. On this earth there are many living entities, the Lord said, some moving and some non-moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from material bondage? Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone, moving or non-moving, has benefited by hearing it. My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage to the material world. And after the non-moving living entities like trees hear it, there is an echo. Actually, however, it is not an echo. It is the kirtan of the non-moving living entities. All this, all the inconceivable, is possible by your mercy. When loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is performed all over the world by those who follow in your footsteps, all living entities, moving and non-moving, dance in ecstatic love, in ecstatic devotional love. My dear Lord, all the incidents that took place while you were going to Vrindavan through the forest known as Jarikhanda have been related to me by your servant Balabhadra Bhattacharya. When your devotee Vasudeva submitted his plea at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted that request. My dear Lord, you have accepted the form of a devotee just to deliver all the fallen souls of this world. You have preached the loud chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and in this way freed all moving and non-moving living entities from material bondage. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, if all living entities were liberated, the entire universe would be devoid of living beings. Haridas Thakur said, my Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again you will awaken the living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities. In this way all moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence and the entire universe will be filled as it was previously. Purport. While we are preaching, opposing elements sometimes argue. If all living entities were delivered by the Krishna consciousness movement, what would happen then? The universe would be devoid of living entities. In answer to this, we may say that in a person there are many prisoners. That in a prison there are many prisoners. But if one thinks that the prison would be empty if all prisoners adopted good behavior, he is incorrect. Even if all the prisoners within a jail are freed, other criminals will fill it in again. A prison will never be vacant, for there are many prospective criminals who will fill the prison cells, even if the present criminals